Well, hello there. I'm Photo Dave, and if this is your first time checking out this channel, well, thanks. So I'm a bit of a nerd, but I enjoy photography too. So what you see on this channel is going to be stuff that has to do with figures, stuff like this. I loves me some 80s type stuff like G.I. Joe, Transformers, love all kinds of comic book type stuff like this. I even love the wackiness of little plunderlings dudes like Spurt here. And who doesn't love Star Wars? So those are the kinds of figures you're going to see on here. You're also going to see a bunch of props and dioramas. I might be working on those, but it's all in service of taking great action figure photos. So you clicked on this because, first off, I'm getting better with SEO, but second, it's because you thought I would kind of like to learn how to do some film noir in Photoshop, kind of make my stuff look like that old 40s style. And I can do that, and I get to do that with Catwoman here, so you'll see that in a little bit. Film noir has its kind of really, really bright lights, and it's really dark darks with a little bit of grayed out, with some midtones and everything, but it's a really contrasty kind of look. I believe it's from movies from the 40s. I always think of guys like Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney. You think of mob type movies, maybe? I don't know. Like, every time I think of things like film noir and things from way back when like that, the old black and whites, I just think of mobster like, see here, see? This is what we're gonna do, see? We're gonna fit them for some cement shoes, see? Anyway, that's basically me when it comes to that. But you don't really want to hear about all that. You just want to learn all about the film noirness of Photoshop. So, let's hop to that part. Now here's the setup for today's video. We're taking a picture of Catwoman kind of film noir style. So I'm using a lot of big light and big shadow to try and make things happen. This right here is where my phone will actually go to backlighter, but right now I'm using it to record all these pieces, the stools, the table I found on eBay, as well as that coffee cup. That coffee cup is being held in place by a little bit of putty because she doesn't really have, coffee cup holding hands. This light that's coming through here is actually courtesy of my iPad. I found just a white light app. So there's that, just hanging out through there. These, I have a couple Neewer lights also doing their job. This one's set on a fairly low setting. I don't want to light her too much because, again, bright lights and dark shadows. And then I have another one here that's being used to kind of cast just this little shadow here to just add a little more darkness. So that's today's setup. Now, let's get to the photoshopping. Okay, here we go. Let's make Catwoman all film noirish here. Now, this is the picture as it came out of the camera. I loaded it as a CR2 file, a good old-fashioned RAW. Didn't do anything to it in Lightroom, didn't play with it at all. This is exactly how it came out of the camera. Now, for me, it would have been nice if I'd had a little more contrast, because remember, you want really bright whites and you want really dark blacks when you put this thing together, as well as a few midtones and all that. But we can make adjustments. We can make that stuff work. So let's do what most people would do when it comes to kind of sort of just trying to do this grayscale style. Just go up here, image, mode, grayscale. And that's not awful, I suppose, but there's a much cooler way and a much more vibrant way where you can get a lot deeper blacks and a lot deeper whites. Are whites really deep? Can you make whites deep? I don't know if you can make whites deep. Anyway, so that you can get more of that film noirish look. So let's get out of there. Just hit Command-Z. And now we're back where we started. Now, I was lucky. Years ago, I took a course with a guy named Burt Monroy, and he was one of the guys who developed, at least, I don't know if he was on Photoshop at the very beginning, but at the time, he was one of the people that developed that version of Photoshop. And he showed everybody in this course a little trick. So you go to image and drop down to calculations. And look at that. Look at how much more that did. Now, here's what you need to make sure of. You want to make sure that both layers are set to merged. You could get, they could pick whatever layer you're attached to. Just set them both to merge so it's playing with each other nice and together. And don't be afraid to play. Now, one other thing that Monroy told us, is that red is more for messing with contrast, and green is more for messing with detail. So sometimes you'll just end up just playing to see what you get. Like there's green, so there's a little more detail in that shot, but you notice when I did that, like there it is back to red. So you notice when I added green here, it took some of that white away, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to keep that at red. I'm coming down here, and if we made this one red, yeah, that still took some... I don't know. I feel like Catwoman's face shouldn't really be that bright. So I think I'm going to stick to green here. Now, when you get to the blending mode, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. You can go soft light. That's kind of a little film noir-ish. Hard light, also a little bit. Vivid. Okay, that's too much, but you could also play with the opacity of vivid there. Change that to 50 to try and fix it. But I think what I'm going to sit at is just a good old-fashioned overlay. Oops, better make that 100 instead of 10%. And I think that looks pretty good. So, if you are somebody who just clicked this video to see how to do these kinds of images, to make them look all good and film noirish, you're done. You can walk away. But it's me. And because it's me, I like to play a little more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, you could just keep it in a channel or a selection. I'm going to make it a new document. Okay, I'm going to select it and copy it. And now I'm going to put it on top of this image. So what the goal is here now is I want to make it so some of the midtones pop through from the underlying layer. That's where fun is for me. So the first thing we're going to do, because I do want to bring up some of these whites a little more, maybe make some of the blacks a little darker, is we're going to add a levels adjustment layer. Now, for those of you who don't know, adjustment layers make it so that you can always play a little bit with it so that you don't have to keep creating new layers with all kinds of file. Like, you don't have to click this and make a new black and white layer and then play with it some, and then make another black and white layer after you played with it, and so on and so forth. You can go in here to levels, and I'm going to attach it to here by hitting Alt, and see where that little square shows up with the down arrow. Now the only layer that levels actually will affect is this black and white layer. So we have levels over here that we're going to play with. And remember, just play. That's the nice thing about Photoshop. Now you see, if you take, this is kind of the black side, you take it all the way, we're going to get pretty dark. And I like to do that just so I can see what each tool does. I like to see kind of the extremes of it. So there's that. And then you've got the white side here. Whoo, that might blow it out a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do, I want to find a nice sweet spot somewhere in the middle. Let's see here. Let's try that. I think that's pretty good. That has a lot of just whites in here called out. Has the whites here, but it has a lot of the dark blacks, all that. I mean, I think it's a fairly good look. So we leave all this set as is. We just close out that adjustment layer. And remember, if you don't like this look, you go back to that adjustment layer and you just play with the sliders until you get to a look you like. You don't need to freak out. You just need to play until you get what you want. So now there's that. Now again, I want to bring the midtones through a little bit from the underlying layer, from the original color layer, into here. Now, like I said, We've done the film noir part already, so if you're done with that, you're good. So, but if you want to get like me and get crazy and not leave well enough alone, what you want to do is you want to double click on layer 2 there, which is the black and white layer off to the right, and you get this box, this layer style box that comes up. Now, I'll leave the blend mode at normal, but I want a little less fill. I want to let some of that color to pop through, but not too much. I don't want tons of it. So I've changed the fill to 80 a little bit, well, a lot of it. And now to show you what all this does, this will remove a lot of the dark so that the underlying layer will show through. Okay. And now this side will remove a lot of the really light so the underlying layer will pop through. Now, another little trick that's fun here is you want to go a little more subtle. Like if you see that you just keep dragging this way, you see how kind of choppy the image is? What you can do, and what I'm going to do for this, is you hold down Alt, you click on the right side of this little triangle, and now you can make things a much smoother transition. And so again, what I'm doing is just bringing in some midtones from the underlying layer. And, okay, I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want to get too colorful. There's that. I kind of like that. And then from this side, if we were to do this, and I think I'm going to leave it like this, but just to show you what would happen here, you can do the same thing. You hit Alt and you split that triangle. And you can just keep dragging that all the way over. But like I said, I think I'm going to leave that. And I think what we have here is a pretty completed image. I like how that looks. So I'm going to go with that. And that's exactly the image that you're going to see get posted on the Instagram page. Now, this will be posted the day after that image shows up. So feel free to check out this video. And then when you're playing with your own stuff to try and make it film noirish, you can go to the Toy Picks Instagram page, or you can go to the Twitter page or whatever and find this image, see what you think of it in a smaller size. So there you go, folks. That's what I've got for you as far as film noir and adding some color. And again, there's, if we go in here, and we go back to the fill, bam, there's what the film noir look looks like. And then there it is with bringing the color through a bit. So that's it. On to the next little part of the video. So that's that. That's a little bit of film noir with a little bit of color gradation added just for fun, because I like the whole fun thing and I like to play on Photoshop. It's what I do. So if you dug the video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, share with the people, and make sure you let me know what you think. Let me know, even if you didn't like it, just say, hey man, here's what's going on, here's how I think you could improve. I'm all for constructive criticism. And if you have other ways that you might be able to accomplish a film noir look in Photoshop or any other editing software, please feel free to share it in the comments. Not everybody's going to have Photoshop, but they might have what you do. So that's all I've got for today, folks. I hope everybody's having fun, and I hope you're not getting too crazy because, well, you didn't call me first. That's all I got. Have fun, and as always, happy snapping.